What's up guys, Spencer here. In today's video segments we're going to be talking and showing you a walkthrough of how to build the Team Associated B7D car. This is my current car that I've been running since the beginning of the year. I'm going to be building another vehicle, ground up roller, to show you guys some of the pro build tips that I've learned along the way. I know a lot of people right now are getting their hands on the new Team Associated B7 and B7D, and maybe this video will help you guys just show you a little bit of some pro tips that I've learned from my experience with the new Team Associated car. And yeah, gonna be going through parts 1, 2, and 3 on the manual and making this a video segment, part 1, part 2, part 3, and however how many long parts we need to complete the video. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I really hope this video helps out. I think it's gonna be a cool one for you guys to watch. Yeah, let's get started. All right, we got bag 1, bag 2 here. I got my other rest of the bags over here, and to the right of me on my computer, I have the manual. So together, we're gonna be working through the steps, and let's get to it. Also, along the way, I'm gonna be showing you what option parts I'm gonna be running throughout the car build, and making it as easy as possible. So obviously, as always, you gotta take off all the bags, set everything out on the table so you don't lose anything, make sure nothing's in the bags. Put that to the side. In this car build, I'm just gonna be building it with the stock screws. And then at some point, I'll go through and upgrade the screws to my preferred choice, which are the J-Concepts screws, titanium. So obviously with the plastic parts, that we have many different carbon parts options that you can run. In this video, I'm gonna be changing out the side rails, the front arms, along with the upper top deck and ball stud mount. But I'm gonna be keeping the caster blocks and steering blocks plastic. I'm kind of just going for it based off of chassis flex and for more rigid feeling. Kind of that's how I tune my suspension that way. So going off of the manual, I'm going to be putting together the steering rack. We need the bearings. Putting them all together here. I'm also going to be changing out the ball studs to the titanium versions. This is just making it a little bit lighter. I think the titanium ball studs actually fit a little bit smoother on the ball cup. So I'm going to have those to the side right here, ready to rip. Okay, so steering rack, ready to go. Basically what I like doing, I like taking off the flashing with an X-Acto blade on the sides, just to clean it up a little bit. Probably a little bit more OCD than most, but this just makes it look nice and clean. Everyone always asks me, how do you make your cars look so clean? And well, this is just part of it. So we don't need that. Make sure the bearings are separated. Need the steering rack. Bearings go in. All 4 bearings are in. Now the T-hat bushing. Okay, very good. Along with the build, I'm going to be switching out the steering bell cranks as an upgrade. One of my favorites upgrades to the car is actually the aluminum bell cranks, because this is what basically makes what's connecting the servo to the actual assembly to the vehicle. This just helps with taking away some flex and making it more one-to-one feeling. Now, I don't think that the plastic ones are bad by any stretch. I actually think they just have a little bit less steering. So for those who are running on really super high bite, you may find the option to maybe go back to the plastic ones and see if it makes your car a little bit easier to drive. But I always I want my servo to be as direct to the car as possible and let the car tuning ability take an effect. So now that we got the arms, the carbon top deck, and ball stud mount, I had put the plastic ones to a side. I got my steering rack right here. Looking at the manual, just to confirm, you have this little, where it says top, that always faces to the top of the vehicle. So, I'm going to be putting these T-hat bushings in, the thin ones. The thick ones are used for the bell cranks. So, now we take our screws, 3x12, which are these. Get out your Loctite. It's gonna be your favorite friend. I always use Loctite. Especially anything that's going into metal, on metal. So with the screws, what I like doing, also, I'm gonna back up a step here. Make sure when you're installing your bell cranks that the one with the 2 holes is always facing the right side of the steering rack. That way you don't have to switch it. So when I put the screw through and then I Loctite, just a little dab at the very end. I'm gonna take my 2.0 and my bell crank that has the 2 holes, so the steering linkage ball stud can screw through. Take my other 3x12, going to screw that on. And I go fairly tight. There shouldn't be any wobble in the steering assembly, and you always want to make sure that it's free. So, good to go there. Now that that's done, put the bearings in the bell cranks, top and bottom. And take your steering ball stud mounts, put the T-hat bushings on the bottom. Take your cap head screws, hold them together. And You're gonna bolt it onto the top deck. But one thing too that you can do that I just reminded myself of is you can take any screw here, take the ball stud mount and actually screw a screw into it just to start it, and this just makes it so much easier to get the bell cranks in. The bell crank started with the cap head screw. So now that those are started, you can go back, place those bell cranks on, get your 2 5-wrench, slowly screw them in, and you're good to go. Tighten them slowly. And what I like doing is I tighten them until they're snug. And I basically keep on tightening it till it's not free spinning anymore. So tighten it till it's snug on both sides. And you don't want it to be tight, but you want the screw to be tight enough where the bell cranks can still move freely. So sometimes it's nice to go maybe too tight and then back it off. But since the crush is so kind of perfect with this assembly, you can kind of tighten it enough where it's not exactly a huge deal. So as long as there's no wiggle room or play on the bell crank assembly, then you basically did it right. Moving on to the next piece to the puzzle is getting the chassis together. Pop in the plastic, it's foam, put that to a side. Okay, then unbagging the bulkhead package. Another piece to the puzzle on the upgrades. I am going to be changing the zero bulkhead out for the .5 degree bulkhead. Zero bulkhead is a good baseline, but for the track that I'm going to be going to, which is Trackside Hobbies, coming soon or next week or so, I think the 2.5 bulkhead will be more preferred. So anyways, I'm going to put the bulkhead to the side. I'm going to be running the 2.5 bulkhead towards the front. So the plus would look like this towards the front of the chassis. So, but before we do that, we got to put this piece on. Make sure that's flush in like that. And put the bulkhead like so. Get some screws. Bum bum. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, 14s. So 14 millimeters. Always hand finish with the hand wrench. So that moves free, good to go there. Going to get my titanium ball studs, 6 mil package for the steering rack. And my setup that I'm running, I don't run a ball stud washer. So I'm just going to screw that in like that. Both sides. Nice and tight. Perfect. Then we're going to take a 10 mil titanium, bolt that on the two top screws. So as you can see, this is what we have so far. One mil here. Okay. Perfect. Money. So 2.5 facing forward, making sure this is a free. That's some of the main things I focus on with the front end stuff. Moving on to the next page, the side rails. So like I said before, I'm going to be using the carbon fiber side rails for less overall flex, more rigid as an upgrade. Now, for those who are watching the upgraded parts, you know, people are gonna think, you know, why are we running? You know, if we're gonna be changing out the parts in the kit as it is anyways, you know, what's the point? You know, the biggest thing that I can say is you know, I'm learning. I'm just kind of matching the same mindset that I had with the B6. I know just as much as you guys, as far as we're all still in the learning process, so we're all relating the same. I think with the B6, I preferred all the carbon parts, but in this build, I'm building it with the carbon top deck, ball stud mount, and the side rails, and the front arms, and then we'll start talking about the rear end stuff. The caster blocks and steering blocks, I'm going to leave plastic. And yeah, I think for most people, it's going to be very challenging to really feel the difference between this stuff until you do a back-to-back test. So, I mean, the parts are significantly different in your hands when you're feeling them. So on the track, if you do a back-to-back test, it does make a pretty significant difference if you can do it within the same battery pack. So I was just cleaning off all the flashing off on this. Going to bolt the screws in. 3x10, boom, very good. And bolting that on the chassis. Hand tighten as always. Very good. Still a little bit of flashing I'm taking off here. And then the last screw is the fan mount option or no fan mount option. I'm going to opt out and not be running the fan. The Hobby Wing mod motors stuff doesn't really run all that hot, so this is what I'm going to be running. But if you do run a fan, I'd highly recommend putting the fan option on. Goes in the back driver's side, and it's a nice little fan mount. It's plenty of room for a body, and the body cutouts have that in there. So this thing just fits nice and flush, and you should be good to go. Oh yeah. And on to the next page, page 8 is where we're on. Well, finishing page 6, putting the front arms on. One of the things with the front arms is I use one of these arm reaming tools. It's a 3.0 millimeter arm reaming tool where you kind of just put it in. It's basically a hinge pin with slots built in them to kind of burn off all the burrs. So I flex the arm just a little bit on both sides. So eventually just hangs like that. When they're new, you know, sometimes you get them free. You can see like this is a new one versus this one. Once you burn off all the burrs and flex it a little bit, you can see that it's free. So that's a speed tip there. Hopefully at some point, you know, I think been working with J Concepts on potentially making a tool for that. Burning off the burrs, making it look super clean. And the hinge pin like as so. So now with the arms, with the new B7, there's no additional plate. These things just go on super nice and free. Brace. So putting it on as so, Got to loosen the set screw. Put it flush. I would also recommend Loctiting these screws. So I'm taking them out. I'm going to Loctite them. Little dab. If you run these set screws on the bulkhead, I recommend not using the screw for the back of the hinge pin. So I would pick one or the other. I choose to run the set screws versus the screw. And always keep in mind that you want the hinge pin to be basically flush with the back here. And just like that, we are good to go. And that is the completion of page 6. We're not going to be installing the servo in this video, but basically page 6 and 7 is done, and we're going to move on to page 8 on the next video.